What happens when one of Hollywood's most revered, no-nonsense actors walks into a studio built on chaos, sharp humor, and live unpredictability? That question became reality when Harrison Ford appeared on The View, facing off with the show's famously quick-witted host, Joy Behar. In many ways, no one knew what to expect, and honestly, what unfolded was a live television moment that would be talked about for years. Some fans predicted a standard promotional interview. Few could have imagined the tension that would crackle through the studio air. Harrison's visit was meant to be simple. He was promoting a quiet, reflective film, one focused on resilience, purpose, and legacy, far from the daring action sequences and epic franchises that defined his career. The audience buzzed in anticipation. Phones were raised and cameras ready, whispers and excited murmurs filling the room. Here was Harrison Ford, a man whose voice, presence, and subtle half-smile had left an indelible mark on generations of moviegoers. You could feel the excitement, but beneath it, there was a tension nobody could fully name. From the moment the cameras rolled, you could sense it. Joy leaned forward with that signature grin that had launched 1,000 playful jabs. "Harrison," she began, "you've been at this for decades now. Ever think about slowing down? I mean, you're not exactly dodging boulders or racing spaceships anymore." The audience laughed, but it wasn't a full, comfortable laugh. It was the kind that betrays nervous anticipation, the sort that makes you realize someone is about to make a move. Even Whoopi Goldberg, seated beside Joy, glanced sideways, catching the spark that promised fire. Harrison's response was calm, measured, and that trademark low growl still present. "I don't see it as slowing down," he said. "I just keep doing what I love." His half-smile didn't quite reach his eyes, and in that moment, the atmosphere in the room shifted subtly but decisively. Joy pressed further, sensing the challenge. "Sure, but isn't there a point where it starts to look forced? Maybe Indiana Jones should have retired to Florida by now." A ripple of reaction passed through the audience, gasps, nervous chuckles, a quiet, "Oh no," from someone in the back row. Harrison leaned back, arms crossed, letting the silence hang heavy. Then, quietly but deliberately, "Maybe it's not about looking young. Maybe it's about having something left to say." The words landed like a weight in the studio, and for a second even the cameraman seemed frozen, capturing a rare instance where tension became tangible. The air itself felt charged. Joy attempted a recovery with a tight smile. "I'm not saying you don't have something to say," she continued. "I'm saying maybe there's a time to let the next generation shine." Harrison met her gaze steadily. "They can have it when they've earned it," he replied. Instant reaction from the crowd. A mixture of applause, gasps, and murmurs. Whoopi's eyebrows arched. The tension was now palpable. Joy leaned in again, attempting levity. "You're sounding a little touchy today," she teased. Harrison didn't flinch. "I'm not touchy," he said evenly. "I just don't confuse respect with humor." The studio seemed to pause, as if collectively holding its breath. Here was Harrison Ford, a man who had faced down intergalactic empires, crashed planes, and dodged boulders, now confronting a host known for fearless, unapologetic commentary. And for the first time in recent memory, he wasn't joking. The conversation quickly escalated. Joy moved to Harrison's well-documented aviation history. "You've had a few accidents, haven't you?" she asked, smiling lightly, expecting banter. The audience gasped softly, sensing the danger of the question. Harrison's eyes darkened slightly, voice calm but cutting. "I've crashed a few planes," he said, slow and deliberate. "Walked away each time. It's not luck, it's focus, something you might want to try." The reaction was immediate. Gasps, applause, whistles, a few audible exclamations. Joy blinked, momentarily taken aback, forcing a thin laugh. At that point, the energy in the room had shifted. Harrison wasn't just a guest. He was the storm everyone could feel, yet no one could fully predict. Even Whoopi's attempts at humor, trying to lighten the mood, couldn't dispel the tension. It was magnetic, almost electric, as the audience leaned forward in their seats, captivated by every word, every glance. Joy tried to redirect the discussion toward his film. "Your movie is about resilience and finding strength later in life, right?" she asked, her tone neutral but testing. Harrison didn't respond with a summary. He responded with authority. It's about not letting anyone else decide when you're done, he said, calm, firm, and deliberate. It's about knowing what you're still capable of. The audience reacted immediately, erupting in applause, not just for the message, but for the sheer presence of a man refusing to be diminished or underestimated. Joy returned to the idea of Harrison continuing in iconic roles, pushing again. Why not let someone else carry the torch? She asked. The room inhaled collectively. Harrison leaned forward slightly, measured, controlled. Ever tell yourself to stop doing what you love because someone thinks your time is over? Silence. The studio lights seemed louder, the hum of cameras more pronounced. Every eye was on him. For a full minute, no one moved. Harrison continued, low and steady. I've been told I was too old, too serious, too stubborn. But the only reason I'm still here is because I don't let people like you decide when I'm finished. The audience reacted instantly. Cheers, gasps, applause. Some laughed nervously, others just sat frozen. Joy, momentarily outmaneuvered, forced a tight laugh. Harrison didn't smile. He didn't flinch. He just let his presence fill the studio. By the time the cameras cut to commercial, the tension hadn't dissipated. Audience members whispered to one another, replaying what had happened in disbelief. Harrison Ford, usually the embodiment of calm, collected charm, had made one thing crystal clear. Respect is non-negotiable. For Joy Behar, who had spent years controlling the flow of conversation, it was a rare moment of being confronted with someone who wouldn't bend. When the show returned, the atmosphere was heavier, charged, and almost electric. Polite smiles masked tension, and the polite chatter in the studio seemed brittle, as if any moment could snap it. Joy tried to reset the interview, introducing Harrison's film, but he remained poised, his gaze steady, his presence dominating the frame. Even a simple question about legacy landed like a stone. When I'm done, he said, voice low and steady, I'll be the one to decide it. Not anyone else. The audience responded with murmurs, applause, and awed reactions. It wasn't about headlines or the movie itself. It was about witnessing a man asserting his right to define his story, his worth, and his presence in the world. Harrison's words were deliberate, each syllable weighted. I've been in this business 50 years, he continued, and I've been told I'm too old, too stubborn, too serious. But the only reason I'm still here is because I don't let others decide when I'm finished. The room reacted again. Some clapped, some froze, stunned by the unwavering conviction. Joy, for the first time, seemed to lose footing, forcing a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. The dialogue continued with razor-sharp tension, each exchange blending humor, challenge, and assertion. Harrison's calm authority contrasted perfectly with Joy's sharp, relentless questioning. For viewers at home, it was more than a celebrity interview. It was a lesson in presence, respect, and quiet but unshakable power. By the end, no one left the studio unchanged. Harrison Ford reminded everyone why he remains a legend. Not for the action sequences, not for the box office, but for the way he carries himself. The weight of experience and the ability to command respect without raising his voice. Joy Behar, for her part, was forced to recalibrate, facing someone who refused to be provoked or diminished. It was a moment that encapsulated everything that makes live television unpredictable. Charisma, tension, respect, and the subtle clash of personalities. And while the cameras cut to commercial and the crew tried to reset the atmosphere, backstage whispers confirmed what everyone watching already knew. This wasn't just an interview. It was a showdown, a masterclass in presence, and a reminder that Harrison Ford, even decades into his career, is a force to be reckoned with. By the time the segment ended, the audience was buzzing. Conversations buzzed in hushed, excited tones. Social media lit up. Everyone was talking about the rare, unforgettable tension of that day, an encounter that, in hindsight, felt like a collision of two forces equally unafraid to assert themselves. Harrison Ford had walked in to promote a film and ended up delivering a lesson in respect, focus, and legacy. And for everyone who witnessed it, the memory of that moment would linger. A reminder of just how magnetic, formidable, and human a legend can be. Understand what it really takes to build something that lasts. Those words landed like a punch. Even Whoopi Goldberg raised her hands, half laughing, half pleading. Okay, she said quickly. Let's all just breathe for a second. But Harrison Ford wasn't letting up. His voice was calm, but every word cut through the tension. I've been at this for 50 years, he said. I've faced loss, doubt, fear, and pain, and I've earned the right to still be here. So when someone tells me to slow down, it sounds like they don't get it. Joy Behar finally spoke, her voice tight. You're twisting my words. I'm just clarifying what I heard, Harrison shot back. The studio erupted. Gasps, whispers, a low hum of electricity filled the room. Sarah Haynes looked like she wished she could vanish into thin air. Sunny tried to intervene. Let's not make this personal, she said softly. But Joy had reached her limit. Her smile disappeared, replaced by a sharp edge. You know what, Harrison? She said, voice like glass. I've been asking the hard questions, making people uncomfortable, longer than you've been making movies. Maybe you've just lost your edge. The room froze. For a brief moment, even the cameras seemed to pause. Harrison just stared at her. And then he laughed. Not the polished Hollywood laugh, but a low, almost sarcastic chuckle that made the air feel smaller. Lost my edge? He repeated slowly. You think I'm here because I've lost something? Joy folded her arms, meeting his gaze. I think you're trying to prove something. Leaning forward, that signature growl in his voice, Harrison replied, You're damn right I am. I'm proving that you don't have to tear people down to stay relevant, that fire doesn't disappear with age. The audience went wild, applause, whistles, shouts, pure chaos. Joy laughed bitterly, flushing red. Wow, you really came ready to fight. No, Harrison said evenly. But I don't walk away either. Whoopi leaned in, half amused, half exasperated. Okay, let's just talk about Star Wars, she said, waving her hands dramatically, trying to cut through the tension. Tell us something fun about Han Solo. But Joy wasn't letting go. No, she said coldly. Let him finish. I want to hear the rest. The audience went silent. Harrison shook his head slightly. I don't think about you, Joy, he said. I think about the way some people speak to others, like they're untouchable. Sometimes your jokes aren't clever. They're cruel. Maybe it's time someone said that out loud. Even Whoopi looked stunned. Joy's lips tightened. Oh, please, she said, defensive. Harrison met her gaze calmly. No, you're just not used to being taken seriously. The reaction was immediate. Gasps, laughter, cheers. People stood, cameras struggled to keep up. Whoopi muttered under her breath. We're going viral for this one. Joy, flustered, fumbled with her notes. All right. Time's up, right? She said, forcing a laugh. But Harrison leaned slightly toward the audience, tone softening. I've always believed, he said, you can be honest without being cruel. You can challenge without humiliating. That's what's missing sometimes. The crowd applauded again, this time sincerely, almost emotionally. Joy managed a tight smile. Maybe next time you'll teach me how to do that, she said. Harrison smirked slightly. Maybe next time you will listen. And just like that, the segment ended. The lights brightened, the music swelled, and the applause carried them to the commercial break, but the tension didn't leave. The audience wasn't clapping out of politeness. They were clapping because they'd just witnessed a rare live television explosion. Backstage, the drama continued. Joy paced, muttering. He came here ready for that moment, she said to a staffer. You can't talk to me like that. Whoopi, arms folded, offered a quiet warning. Joy, you poked the bear. That's what happens. Meanwhile, just a few doors down, Harrison was calm in his dressing room. His assistant showed him his phone. You're trending in 12 countries, she said. Harrison gave a small grunt. For what? For telling off Joy Behar. People are calling you a legend. He didn't smile, but there was a spark in his eyes. I didn't tell her off, he said quietly. I just told the truth. By evening, the clip had taken over the internet. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, it was everywhere. Harrison vs. Behar, Why the View Meltdown, Respect the Legend trended worldwide. Clips were remixed, slowed down, set to dramatic music. Memes flew across social media. People debated, analyzed, and replayed every stare, every pause, every inhale. Harrison Ford didn't blow up. he exposed. And that line about honesty versus cruelty? That became the quote everyone shared, the one fans called iconic. Some even started calling him the last real movie star. Joy faced the backlash, and the next morning on The View she addressed it. "Yesterday got heated," she said, smiling tightly. "I respect Harrison Ford, but I won't apologize for doing my job. Asking hard questions isn't my fault." Whoopi chimed in cautiously. "Joy, you're great at stirring the pot, but sometimes when it boils over you have to admit, it got hot for a reason." Joy smirked. "Oh, it got hot. All right." But viewers noticed the usual sparkle in her eyes looked a bit dimmer. The clash had left its mark. Meanwhile, Harrison appeared on Good Morning America. "I don't like drama," he said. "I like honesty, that's it." When asked if he regretted it, he shook his head. Sometimes the truth sounds harsh because it is real. And just like that, the internet crowned him the winner. Over the next few days, celebrities, commentators, and fans dissected the moment endlessly. Chris Pratt tweeted, "Never mess with Han Solo." Mark Hamill replied with a single emoji, a lightsaber. But for Harrison, it was over. He went back to his quiet life, untouched, unbothered. For Joy, every guest afterward reminded her of that day, the day Harrison Ford refused to be anyone's punchline. It became the episode everyone remembered. The day Hollywood grit met daytime TV chaos, and one quiet legend refused to play by the rules. So, what do you think? Was Harrison just defending himself, or did he go too far? Did Joy cross a line, or was she just doing her job? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories and celebrity showdowns that you won't see anywhere else. Sometimes the truth is louder than the